stream. That's when I make a beeline for the tree line. That's when I make a beeline for the tree line.
Well. Here we are again. Once again, talking about SpongeBob. Because just like Sonic, he just won't let me do any other content. But, as I stated last June, this is the year where we're going to start doing 2 SpongeBob months a year. That way we can get caught up to the new stuff a lot faster. So, last June we talked about Season 5, and now, here in September, we are talking about Season 6 of SpongeBob SquarePants. SpongeBob Month Chapter 6, the second act of the Dark Ages. This is when the show continues to descend off a cliff, but it doesn't mean that it's all bad. In fact, there are a few episodes in this season that I do really enjoy. So, it's not going to be entirely negative, but just like Season 5, it is going to be more negative than the first 4 months that we've done of this show. So, it should still be fun. I'll still do my best to make it fun and keep swearing to a minimum. But some of them, yeah, there are some bad episodes in this season. But, like I said, they're not all bad. Even today. Today we're actually starting out with pretty good episodes. So, we're going to start off nice and light today, before we get into the really, really bad stuff. So, yep, you guys know how it works by now, so let's go ahead and begin, now that the preamble is over. What's up, what's happening, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Anime Station. Nobody's just over anything animation, including TV movies as well, including a sponge that also lives in the pineapple under the sea. I am your host, Jackson Small. Welcome to SpongeBob Month, Chapter 6. And for today's episode reviews, we have Spongicus and the beloved Suction Cup Symphony. An episode that many people consider to be the best of modern SpongeBob, period. Is it that good? Well, guess you'll just have to watch and find out. So, you guys know how it works by now. We talk about each episode individually, we give some highlights, we give a score, and then at the end, I give my final thoughts, and I rank the 2 episodes against each other, if I think it's actually worth ranking. So, without further more ado or delay, let's begin with Spongicus. Alright, before I begin talking about the episode proper, I guess I should bring this up. There are 2 different episode orders, comparing it to the DVD and the Encyclopedia SpongeBobia. So, I looked at both of them, I saw that both of them were a little bit wonky, but I decided to go with how it is on the release of the DVD, the complete 6th season of the show. This is the episode list, and this is how I'm going down the order, so if you look it up later and it's out of order, don't question it, please. I'm going off the DVD order because that's the one I think is the most solid. So, yeah, that means that the Season 6 premiere was Spongicus. A bit of a decent episode. It's a bit of a strange one, and it is definitely one of those Plankton tries to steal Krabby Patty formula through Zany Scheme X sort of deals, but I actually think this one has some nice creativity to it. And it has an ending so weird that we just have to talk about it. So, let's dive into Spongicus. So, in this episode, Plankton destroys the chum bucket. In a pretty funny moment that we'll talk about later in the highlights. And he replaces it with a chum coliseum, where he gives free entertainment to the people of Bikini Bottom as a gladiator fight. Yeah, this is a throwback to Roman times, but unlike Dungeons and Dragons, it's not like a full special that takes place in that time period. It's more just the characters dressing up in that time period for the episode in modern day. So, all seems well at first. You know, you got a sea lion, and SpongeBob's wondering who the poor sod's gonna be that has to take on this lion. And then to his shock and horror, it's Patrick. So now it's up to SpongeBob to save Patrick from getting eaten and stop Plankton's scheme once again. So, I will give them this. They did not resort to the old stealing Krabby Patty formula shtick. Like, it has that kind of setup, but that's not the episode at all. In fact, Plankton actually decides to use his brain for once and actually tries to do something different. Instead of trying to go after the Krabby Patty formula for the zillionth time, instead he decides to make something to try and attract customers away from the Krusty Krab. And no, it's not a certain other episode we'll talk about when we get to Season 8 where it turns back around into that plot. No, this one, the Krabby Patty formula is not mentioned once. It's just Plankton trying to use his own scheme to try and take customers away from the Krusty Krab without needing to steal the formula. So, that's nice. It's nice to see a little bit of originality. And I do think that the Coliseum itself is pretty cool, and I do like the whole Roman theme. I wish they went a little further with it, but it's an 11-minute episode, not a 22-minute special, unfortunately. So, unlike Dungeons & Dragons or Pests of the West, they can't really fully lean into that. But we do get some fun parts in the episode. I do like how SpongeBob dresses up in gladiator armor. That's pretty cool. Then he runs around in a chariot trying to save Patrick from the sea lion. And it has a very, very strange ending that we're going to get to. But I'd call the episode pretty good. It has some pretty good laughs in there. And I didn't actively hate myself while watching it. So, thumbs up from me. My highlights for the episode are two in particular. The first one is the joke in the beginning. It's a great subversion, where Plankton looks like he's about to try to wreck the Krusty Krab with this giant wrecking ball, and instead it flies over the Krusty Krab, and he immediately destroys his own restaurant, the Chum Bucket. That was a really good subversion that got me on rewatch. It's a pretty funny joke, and I give them credit for actually doing something different with that joke. And then as for the second highlight, it's not really a highlight because it's good per se, it's more because it's very weird. And that part is the ending. The ending of the episode is very weird because it's them just laughing for a good minute, and then they all just walk away. Like, what a weird ending. Like, I don't know why they chose that ending. It's very, very weird, but it's so weird it ends up becoming hilarious because it's just like, how are we going to end the episode? Let's just have them laughing and then slowly stop laughing and then all of them just walk off camera. Like, it shouldn't be funny, but it's funny. So, yeah. Overall, this episode's pretty good. I definitely wish it leaned more into that Roman theming aspect because I think it's a really cool time period that I'd love to see SpongeBob tackle, especially after how well they did medievals and westerns, but it's still a pretty good episode. It subverts expectation. It's not the cliched steal the formula crap for once. I mean, that's refreshing in itself. But it does have some problems. There is some pacing problems when we get to the actual Coliseum because everything is rushed so quickly because of the 11-minute runtime. And Patrick is frustratingly stupid. Not, like, enjoyably stupid like he was in seasons 1 through 4. I mean, like, he is ridiculously, frustratingly stupid. And it gets to a point where you're just like, come on, dude. I know you're dumb, but you're not that dumb. But, yeah, overall, my final verdict for Spongicus is going to be a 6.5 out of 10. It's a pretty good episode. I can't really quite give it a 7 because Patrick is being so stupid, but if you can get around that and the fact that it has to rush through the actual Coliseum part, it's a pretty good episode. I think it's a good watch in a decent time. So, yep. With all that said, let's move on to the episode that you guys are waiting for me to talk about, inevitably, because it's one of the most praised episodes of post-movie SpongeBob. And that is Suction Cup Symphony. I mean, where do I even begin with this episode? Pretty much everyone I know has already praised it to high heaven. Like, Mysterious Mr. Enter has praised it, Phantom Strider's praised it, Gem Reviews has praised it, I'm pretty sure Pie Guy Rolls praised it. Like, I have not met a single person yet that does not like this episode. And I can kind of see why. It's definitely one of Squidward's better episodes of post-movie SpongeBob, and it's an episode that's actually funny. So, yeah, I'm gonna do my best to try to praise this episode like it should be, but I'm not really sure what I can add to it, because like I said, it's already been talked about to death. So this sequence might be a little bit shorter than some other reviews, because I don't really have that much new to say about it. It's a great episode. We all know it's a great episode. This is more just for the archives. But let's dive in anyway. So in this episode, Squidward is writing an original composition to take to the Bikini Bottom Orchestra. But of course, SpongeBob and Patrick, being SpongeBob and Patrick, they are making all kinds of noise outside that disturbs him constantly. But after a while, he does manage to get the symphony done, and he actually wins because the orchestrator, I believe his name is, I can't remember what kind of rank that is in the orchestra, I'm sorry. But because of its uniqueness, he wins, and he does get a full show and everything. Only to realize that his composition was a little bit more unique than he thought it would be. But what's nice is that he actually wins in the end. I mean, that's a nice, refreshing change of pace, especially in Season 6 of all things. There's a lot of highlights with this episode, honestly. I really love this one just as much as everyone else. I don't think it's like the most amazing episode ever, but it is definitely a huge highlight in post-movie SpongeBob. My first highlight is going to be the opening, where they actually made a poop joke work. Because Squidward is trying to practice on his clarinet, and he sounds horrible, as per usual. And SpongeBob thinks that he's on the toilet. And he doesn't want Squidward to be embarrassed by the people across the street putting up this billboard. So SpongeBob starts making all these loud noises to try and divert them away from from whatever Squidward's doing. Like, I don't know how they make these jokes work, but that is actually legitimately clever. And it shows that SpongeBob does still care about Squidward. Which, I mean, it's nice to see in episodes that, well, in a season that has a lot of episodes where he torments him. But we'll get there when we get there. It's a great episode. It's a great opening to the episode. I really enjoyed it. And then the second part is the one part I remember from seeing promotions of this episode when I was a kid. And that is, I broke my butt. It's when Patrick gets kicked out of Squidward's window, and he falls on his butt, and it looks like it's not that bad at first. But then when you get him standing up and you get a closer look at it, you see that there were bones sticking out of his rear end. And he has to literally put them back in place. Like, it is crazy what this show can get away with sometimes. That is a great, gruesome, dark joke. And they even bring it back around later with SpongeBob having to play doctor. I mean, just so cool. It's a gruesome image, but as someone like me who is a huge horror fan that loves gruesome stuff like that, I can't help but appreciate it. Like, is it gruesome? Yes. Does it belong in a kid's show? Absolutely not. But, I don't know. I have like a weird sort of respect for it. Call me weird. That's just how I am. And then my third and final highlight is the symphony, and the reveal that Squidward wrote down every single word that he heard into his symphony. So you have SpongeBob and Patrick showing up doing the whole doctor routine in the middle of the symphony. I know some people may roll their eyes at that kind of thing, but I thought that was a really good reveal, and it just showed how desperate Squidward was to get this composition done. That he just started writing down everything that SpongeBob and Patrick did outside his window unknowingly. Like, great twist. And I think the whole symphony itself is great. That whole scene's funny. And like I said, Squidward actually gets to win in the end for once, so it's not like the episode's crapping on him. So, that's really nice to see. He does win, and it ends on a pretty decent joke of the swallowed head. Yeah, I mean, I love this episode. I have always loved this episode, and I'm probably always going to love this episode. It's smart, it's funny, and it's not Squidward torture. It is an episode where Squidward actually gets to win for once through wacky, indescribable circumstances. And I mean, like I said, it's one of the most highly praised episodes of post-movie SpongeBob, and for very good reason. This is a great episode that belongs right up there with, great episodes, not classics, the great episodes of, Season 3, maybe Season 4. Because, I mean, it is funny, it is fast-paced, it uses its time well, it doesn't feel rushed, and it's actually legitimately funny. So, yeah, I love this episode, and I will always love this episode. Final verdict for me is an 8 out of 10. It's not higher, because I feel like they could have done a little bit more. Because they do waste a few minutes on a billboard gag that doesn't really need that much time put into it, but outside of that, I love this episode, and I'll always love this episode, and I'm sure all of you will always love this episode, because, again, one of the most highly praised episodes of post-movie SpongeBob by pretty much everybody. So, yeah, that's going to be it for this review. Let's go ahead and move on to my final overall thoughts and verdicts. Can I just say that it's nice that we actually get to start with 2 good episodes for a Dark Ages season? That is so nice, because I was afraid that I'd have to start off with the really bad stuff that's later in the season, but no. We actually get to start off with 2 really good episodes, and I am thankful for that. Truly thankful for that. Because that means I get to end my episode reviews on a good note, so let's go ahead and do our rankings, shall we? So coming in second place, obviously, by a decent little margin, but it's not in shame, because it is still a good episode, is Spongicus. If it weren't for Patrick being so post-movie Patrick, I would probably give it a little bit of a higher score, maybe a 7.5. But because he is acting post-movie stupid, and it does have to rush its second act, I can't really give it higher than a 6.5. It's still a pretty enjoyable episode, though. But coming in number 1, Suction Cup's Symphony. It's not even close. It's not even legitimately close. This is a great episode that has only gotten funnier every single time I watch it. And in a season like Season 6, yeah, it's gonna be a highlight for sure. So yeah, that is it for this episode review, and it's probably the only video you're getting today. So, thank you guys so much for watching. Look forward to more reviews very soon, as we've only just started talking about Season 6 of SpongeBob. So, prepare yourself, because it's probably about to dive headfirst off a cliff real quick. So, I will see you guys next time when we continue SpongeBob Month Chapter 6 with House Fancy and Krabby Road. We cannot take it anymore. The time is coming to go. Prepare, finally ready for